for the Chiefs. The crowd on its feet, and we're underway at Arrowhead. Good kick by Carlos. Jeff Smith on the return. This has not been a strong area for the Chiefs, but a good run back, a 27-yard run on the return by the rookie from Nebraska, Jeff Smith. Gene Lang tripped him up. And here come the Chiefs. Herman Hurd and Bruce King at the running backs. Good receivers, Carlos Carson, Henry Marshall, and Walt Arnold. The question mark on the offensive line. John Alt replacing the injured Matt Kirkenhoff, who's on injured reserve. Scott Hauer replacing the injured Brad Buddy, who is not dressed for today's game, suffering a sprained left shoulder last week. First down play for Kenny. Goes to the air, and it is almost picked off. Intended for Henry Marshall. And Mike Harden with a shot at his second interception of the season. And a look at that Denver defensive unit up front. Outstanding. Barney Chavis and Reuben Carter. Rulon Jones, who comes in with 6 sacks. Carl Mecklenburg leading the way among the linebackers. Steve Musick is the leading tackler on the Denver Broncos. Lewis Wright at the left corner, one of the great covermen in the NFL. Tony Lilly replacing the injured Steve Foley. 2nd and 10 for Bill Kenny in Kansas City from the 25. And that is Hurd lined up behind King. And here's Hurd trying to go wide, cannot. The Woodman, Ken Woodard, the outside linebacker, on the stop. He lost 5 on the play. A look at that young, inexperienced offensive line. These guys take a lot of care and time and dressing for this?
Obviously not. They're offensive linemen, but Alt and Hauer, the 2 men on the right side, are replacing Matt Kirkenhoff and Brad Buddy, 2 top offensive linemen for the Chiefs. There'll be some problems on that side because they'll be blocking on Rulon Jones and Mecklenburg quite a bit today.
At one time, you used to say nice things about
that's what I was
line.
playing.
3rd down and 15, back at the 20. Kenny rifling, and it's blocked. Stephon Page not able to hang on. And so a punting situation. Jim Arnold checking in with the punting unit.
Mecklenburg, a 77, down in the defensive line, faking like he's going to come and then dropping back into coverage. Ball just not being able to be caught, and Mecklenburg getting over there and maybe intimidating Stephon Page on the first reception of the game.
Arnold coming off a strong game against the Rams. He had been inconsistent. There's Vance Johnson, considered the fastest man to come out of the 1985 NFL Draft. Beautiful moves by Johnson, but the Chiefs able to cover a 43-yard punt, 11-yard return. Walt Arnold, the tight end, in on the stop. And John Elway leading the Broncos onto the field. The lone deep back is Sammy Winder. The H-back set up for Dan Reeves, so he has the 2 tight ends, James Wright and Clarence Kay. And a look at the offensive line. Paul Howard, who hasn't missed a game the last 4 years, at right guard. Ken Lanier at right tackle, Billy Bryan the center, Keith Bishop, Dave Studdard on the left side. And now they do go with the 2-back setup. And this is Gerald Wilhite. Stopped by Lloyd Morris, the strong safety. Wilhite going for 13 yards, so a change in that starting lineup with Wilhite and Lang opening up. Outstanding front 3 of the Kansas City 3-4. Bill Moss leading in the sack department for the Chiefs with 5. And the linebackers, Jeff Payne on the right, made it back last week from injured reserve. He was out with a knee problem. In the secondary, Deron Cherry with 5 interceptions on the season. That is tied for the most in the AFC. Again, it's Wilhite and Lang. First down from the 38. And Elway takes. Vance Johnson, the rookie from Arizona. Johnson bumped out by left corner Albert Lewis.
Vance Johnson has been a big part of the Denver offense. Dan Reeves saying he's got more speed than anybody we've had here in a long time. I want to get him the ball as many times as I can. In fact, on the opening play of the game, they faked the reverse and ran the sweep. Of course, Kansas City knows that they want to get the ball to Vance Johnson also.
2nd down and 6. a swing for Lang. Lang close to the first down marker, stopped by Jeff Payne.
What the Broncos like to do is go to number 82, Vance Johnson. We'll have to get back to this after this play, but what they like to do is sprint the quarterback out to the strong side or to his right, and with his strong arm and the speed of Vance Johnson, get him downfield.
And Denver just short of a first down. It's 3rd and about a yard. And here's Wilhite. So the Broncos collect the first down. Now back to that greasy pencil scouting report. Greasy pencil, very slippery.
Well, it's got a mind of its own sometimes. Here we'll take a look at it. What Elway likes to do is sprint out, which gives him a lot of time. The center will come around and block. What that does is allow Vance Johnson with all the speed to get deep, and then Elway with a strong arm can get the ball down to him.
First down at the 27. And again, it's Lang running inside to the 21-yard line. Picked up 6. Gene Lang in his second season out of Louisiana State, stopped by the combination of Art Still and Bill Moss.
Talking with Duron Cherry yesterday, he said the main concern for the Chiefs defense is containing John Elway. When he gets outside the pocket, he's much more dangerous because he gives his receivers a lot more time to get open, and he has a tremendously strong arm. He can get the ball downfield very quickly. Cherry says, I'm going to have to stay home more today.
2nd down and 4. And again to the ground. Again it's Lang. And the Broncos with another first down, moving readily downfield. Duron Cherry on the tackle.
Chiefs aren't that easy to run against, as we see Duron Cherry in the middle of the field. He leads the team in tackles, and he leads the NFL in interceptions. It's a nice combination. It's a tough combination for a free safety because he has to play pass first and run second.
First down at the 15-yard line. Steve Watson flanked out to the right side. The lone deep back is Lang, and again it's Lang. Art Still on the stop. So Dan Reeves staying on the ground in this opening series and not doing it with Sammy Winder. And we're told that Winder, with a touch of the flu at the moment, is being held out. That's a late change. He was scheduled to start.
Chiefs tough to run against, but Dan Reeves told us yesterday that he wants his offense on the field more. He wants to eat up the clock a little bit and establish some momentum offensively. They have not done that a lot in the last 2 wins for the Broncos.
2nd down and 8 at the 13. And now Elway to throw. He fires for Watson. Touchdown. Let's see, where do they place the ball? Kevin Ross on the stop. Still no indication. And it is a completed pass, but no touchdown. They're going to spot it just outside the goal line.
It's a play action pass. It was a good fake by Elway. With all the running they've done, the play action will hold the linebackers. Here's Cherry right here. Now, watch the guards. These 2 men are what he is keying. If they set up, it's probably going to be a pass. If they come straight forward, the guards cross, but you can see Cherry sees right through to the quarterback. It held him just long enough that the Watson could make the slant into the inside and make the reception.
12-yard pass play, 1st and goal from inside the 1. Here's Lang, and the Chiefs stop him. It'll be a 2nd and goal. Gene Lang, a hard-driving runner, could not bring it in. Lang, 4 carries, 13 yards. Denver opening with the combination of Wilhite and Lang. Sammy Winder, who is normally the man who gets most of the action as the lone deep back, sitting it out for the moment. 10th play of this series right here. And the move by Wilhite for the 6 points for Denver. The jackknife touchdown by Gerald Wilhite. So the Broncos with a 6-0 lead.
Marv, there are a group of Bronco fans that made the trip over as we look at the offensive line surge and the leap over the top. The linebackers not getting there in time and the defensive backs, but there are a group of Broncos down in that end zone that let up a big cheer when the Broncos got into the end zone.
Gerald Wilhite with his first touchdown of the season. And here is Rich Carlos giving Denver a 7-0 lead. So 7 minutes in this first quarter, Denver in front. Broncos methodically moving against the Kansas City Chiefs. A 10-play series. Elway throwing only 3 times and a 7-0 Denver lead.
And they did it without Sammy Winder, which when you have one of your top ball players, the only Pro Bowl representative of 1984 with the flu not feeling well in the locker room, you kind of have some hesitations coming out. And when your offense takes the ball and goes down to score, it lifts everybody on that ball club.
Smith and Lane are back, and the kickoff by Carlos. It is taken by Jeff Smith. Jeff Smith across the 30. A 30-yard run. Ken Woodard on the stop, and Kansas City first down from the 30. Washington in front of Cleveland on a 1-yard run by John Riggins. And Tampa Bay leading New England. Patriots bouncing back last week with the win over the Jets up in Foxborough. Herman Hurd, Bruce King are the running backs. Carson and Marshall, the wide receivers to the left. And that is Carson in motion. And one of the offensive linemen jumped. Bruce King on the handoff. So Jerry Markbright will tell us what this flag is all about.
Number 72.
It is against
offense.
The Chiefs.
First
the
down.
right tackle, David Lutz.
Scouting report for the Chiefs, a lot of times third down they'll go 4 wide receivers. What they have a tendency to do is keep the 2 wide receivers to the outside and run Hancock deep. That opens it up for Stephon Page and Ethan Horton, who like to operate in the middle of the field. Page has caught a lot of first downs over the middle, and Horton with an option coming out of the backfield. They like to go to their 2 inside receivers.
And it is now first down and 15 for Kansas City. And this is Hurd out to the 34-yard line. Lewis Wright, the left corner, on the stop.
We talked about the offensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs, and the 2 replacements. Right here is our, watch him as he pulls around along with John Alt, 76 and 68, the 2 new offensive linemen subbing in there for the 2 veterans.
And Scott Auer making his first National Football League start. 2nd and 10, back at the 30. The tight end Walt Arnold short of the first down. Lewis Wright on the coverage. So 3rd down play coming up. Bill Kenny, who sat out last week against the Rams with a bruised knee, and he is also hurting from all kinds of bumps and bruises. Back in with Todd Blackledge, the quarterback, last week, and had what he said was the worst athletic experience of his career as he was intercepted 6 times by the Rams.
Well, as I told him yesterday, we've all been there. He passed quite a few, he broke the record of quite a few good quarterbacks.
Including one of the greats here in Kansas City, Len Dawson, who had a 5-intercept game. Here's Kenny going sideline. Intended for Stephon Page.
As we said in our scouting report, 3rd down, Stephon Page in the slot. 2 Broncos were right there. Kenny had to throw it out of bounds or have it intercepted. You know, Marv, if we're sitting up here giving scouting reports and we know what the tendencies are, obviously the defense of the Broncos are going to know too. I think they have to go against their tendencies, then come back to it a little bit later.
And Vance Johnson awaiting this Jim Arnold punt. Arnold back at his 22. Arnold in his 3rd season out of Vanderbilt. outstanding season a year ago, leading the NFL in punting. Got off slowly, but came on last week, and he's blocked. A blocked punt, and recovered by the Broncos. There he is, Randy Robbins, second year out of Arizona. As Jim Arnold, in a somber mood, walks back to the Kansas City sideline.
The special teams for the Kansas City Chiefs have not been that spectacular all year. As you look, the protection seems to be pretty good. But from the left side, a good block, and the Broncos with great field position, but that just shows you where the special teams can really turn a ball game around.
And it was Robbins with the block and the recovery. How's that for a twin bill? First and goal from the 9, and here is Wilhite. Harold Wilhite stopped by Deron Cherry. What does it mean when a free safety, in this case Cherry, leads the club in tackles?
Well, it can mean one of two things. First of all, it's usually not that good, because if your safety's making tackles, the linebackers and defensive line isn't. But in the setup for the Chiefs, he has to force to the weak side, and when he forced to the weak side, that means he is the primary man to make the tackles. You have to have a special type of defensive back to handle that. Cherry has to handle the pass first, run second.
Second and goal from the 6. Clarence Kay shaken up on that last play. And here's Wilhite. Getting inside the 5, Pete Koch, defensive end, on the stop. And the ball is spotted at the 3. It'll be third and goal from the 3. Denver leading Kansas City by the score of 7-0. And off the block, punt, and recovery by Randy Robbins, second-year player out of Arizona. Denver at the doorstep once again here in this first quarter. Elway with time, and then hauled down by Mike Bell. There's Bell, number 99. Coming up with his 4th sack of the season.
Just good coverage in the secondary by the Chiefs. He had plenty of time to throw. Wanted to throw the ball over to Mike Barber. Bell with a big play for the Kansas City Chiefs. As you'll see, the protection is good. Plenty of time to throw. Now he's got to pull it down, and by that time, Bell is in there. Kansas City dodges a bullet if they get out of this with just a field goal.
Rich Carlos will attempt from 25 yards away. And he puts it through. So Carlos, who began the season strong and then hit a bad spell, able to hit to give Denver a 10-0 lead. Marv Albert with Bob Greasy from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. 4.5 minutes remaining first quarter, and Denver having its way, leading KC 10-0. The kickoff by Carlos, and again it's taken by Smith. And Smith, a 10th round draft pick, a rookie from Nebraska, with a 16-yard return. Ricky Hundley on the stop.
Go back and take a look at why that punt was blocked. Right here is Jonathan Hayes, 85. A rookie. He's going to block to the outside. Robbins will come from the inside off of your picture to make the block. Watch Hayes as he sets up, steps back, and blocks to the outside. He steps back, blocks to the outside. Robbins goes right by him to the inside. A rookie mistake, Marv.
And it's a first down. Kansas City from its 26-yard line. That's Carson in motion. Kenny to throw on first down. And almost intercepted again by Mike Harden, who had an opportunity earlier. Henry Marshall, the intended receiver. St. Louis leading Houston in the first quarter, 7-0. And now Tampa Bay coming off the wild one with Miami in front of New England, 14-0 in the first. Buffalo 7, Philadelphia Eagles 0, first quarter. Last week, Chiefs wide receivers caught only 3 passes, while LA Rams defensive backs caught 6. And Bill Kenny off to a 1-for-5 start. Now throwing for Marshall again. And Kenny here hearing it from the crowd. Good pressure by combination of Chavis, Carter, and Jones.
Exactly, and it came from the Chiefs' left side where the Auer and Alt are performing over there. Kenny had to release the ball very quickly, didn't have time to wait for his receiver to show him what he was going to do. Makovic on the sideline, talking with him yesterday, he said it's not the greatest situation. You like to have more veteran offensive linemen in there, especially going against Jones and Mecklenburg and that company, but we're playing with what we've got.
The way things are going, he's going to take the lunches away from this ball club again. We'll get back to that point a little bit later on. 3rd down and 10 for Kenny. And again, the intended receiver, Henry Marshall. Wilson and Harton on the coverage, and a punting situation for the Chiefs, who are not able to get anything going in this first quarter.
But just good, tough defense by the Broncos. They've got pretty good pressure on Kenny, but when they don't get to him or force him to throw quickly, the coverage in the secondary. Steve Wilson was right there, and he had help deep.
All right, Jim Arnold was blocked in his last attempt. Now punting from his 11th. The dangerous rookie Vance Johnson awaits the punt back at the 30. Gets this one away cleanly. And here is Johnson. And he lost his footing. A 41-yard punt, a 7-yard return. 4 minutes to go in this first quarter. We'll be right back. These have not been pleasant visits for the Denver Broncos here to Kansas City. Chiefs have won the last 4 here at Arrowhead.
John Makovic said yesterday, I'd like to have it a little bit colder because this will be too nice a day for the Broncos. Normally we have bad weather for them.
And Denver in front by the score of 10-0 as Elway looks to throw first down. And it's through the hands of Steve Watson. A bit too much on it. Albert Lewis covering on the play. This the worst field position Denver has had in this first quarter. And here they are on their 42-yard line with a 2nd and 10 coming up. Take a look at this overall series between the Chiefs and Bronco franchises. In the old days of the AFL, Kansas City in its heyday just beat up on the Broncos. In fact, they won the first 19 of 20 meetings between these two clubs, and then Denver came on, except they haven't been able to do it here in Kansas City. Elway able to step up and complete to Watson. And you can see Kevin Ross upset, and a flag thrown. A 20-yard pass play. Ross felt that Watson short-hopped it.
Ross, the second-year man who has 3 interceptions, is really an aggressive player. As we look from the end zone, play action pass. Now Cherry goes with the man going across. That leaves the square end to Ross. I don't know. It looked to me from that angle, I would guess that he caught the football. Of course, the way he got his hands down there and the way he caught him, came up with it, it looked pretty convincing to me.
And that'll be an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on the right quarterback, Kevin Ross. So here's Denver now, first down at the Kansas City 24.
John Makovic with a lot of young ball players on this ball club, and you've seen 2 mistakes already. The block punt, which was caused by Jonathan Hayes not getting his man. Now the penalty on Ross.
Watson right, Sampson left. That's James Wright, the tight end in motion. Here's Wilhite. And stopped by Art Still. Gerald Wilhite, the ball carrier. By Art Still. Ball spotted just outside the 21-yard line. It's a 2nd down and 8. Detroit leading Miami 7-0 in the first.
Detroit has won all 3 games at home this year. Miami's going to have their hands full.
And we should point out the refrigerator did not account for any of those points. McMahon to McKinnon touchdown pass and a field goal by Butler. Steve Sewell, the rookie from Oklahoma now in the lineup for Denver. And this is Sewell inside the 15, a first-round draft pick who has been primarily used as a wide receiver, although he's a running back, has carried only 4 times for 3 yards, and that is his NFL career high.
To run the football, number 63 in the red, right over Bryan. Bryan is going to have to be able to control him. He does a pretty good job there. Moss getting good penetration, but Howard got around him and was able to get downfield and make a block. But we'll be watching Moss and Bryan most of the afternoon.
8-yard pickup by Sewell. Now Wilhite finding running room. And the Denver Broncos, who usually like to air it out, are doing whatever they want on the ground against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Like Wilhite is limping off the field, shaking his head like as if he's all right. I'll be all right in a minute. But Kansas City's defense, Marv, their style is not very aggressive. They don't come across the line of scrimmage. You cannot trap them as easily as some other teams. They're more of a sit and read or lateral type of defense, and it's really tougher to run against that style of defense.
It is a 2nd and 5 from the 8. And here's Gene Lang with acceleration inside the 5. Ron Cherry on the tackle.
Talking about the matchup with Moss and Bryan. This time it's going to be a little toss. Now watch Bryan as he pulls. Moss follows him, and Howard comes over and gets him off his feet, creating a little gap in there where he can make some yardage.
And once again, Cherry on the tackle. It's a 3rd down and 2. The ball placed at the 5.
Good teamwork between Bryan and Howard. Bryan standing him up and Howard coming in and knocking him off his feet.
35 seconds left in this first quarter. Here it is, Wilhite knifing his way close to the goal line. Koch and Daniels on the stop.
Gerald Wilhite back in the ball game as Lang goes leading him. Wilhite sees a bigger hole backside. The linebackers probably overran to the right side. He cuts back. And Cherry, number 20, you see him eyeing him, getting out of the way of the umpire. The umpire says, go ahead and hit him. I don't want any part of this. But you know, Marv, Denver's defense is doing well, but the offense is doing well, but the defense has really set them up.
And that's the end of the first quarter. When we resume, it'll be Denver 1st and goal from the 1. Stats almost a blank being thrown by Denver.
And what I was trying to say was Denver's defense has set the offense up because both Kansas City drives have been 3 plays and out.
And Kansas City coach John Makovic with his head down, and we're early in the ball game. 2nd quarter underway, and the Broncos 1st and goal from the 1. That's White in motion. Play action. Intended for Clarence Kay.
If you're going to throw on the goal line, the 1st down is the best down to throw, and Kay was covered by a linebacker, but he should have come back out a little bit more and uncovered himself.
Elway now 4 for 6, 40 yards, but a low-key performance because it's working on the ground. The Broncos have now shut out their opponents in the first quarter each of the past 3 games. They lead it right here by the score of 10-0. Now Elway calls for time. So the timeout is called, and we'll take a break with Denver leading Kansas City. Running back Sammy Winder with a touch of the flu, so the Broncos for the moment are holding him out. But getting along very fine against the Kansas City Chiefs. Here is Lang, and he is sacked up. But on a second effort, is able to get it in. The Chiefs thought they had him. Let's take another look at Gene Lang at a power move.
87 right will be stuffed, but the second effort, he doesn't get over there. He's still not over. The 3rd effort finally got him in.
And Gene Lang has scored his 4th touchdown of the season.
If his momentum, his forward momentum is stopped, then the play should be whistled dead. Obviously, the line judge felt as though he was still going forward.
And here's Rich Carlos putting Denver on top by the score of 17-0. And we are only 7 seconds in, 2nd quarter. Marv Albert with Bob Creasy. We are early 2nd quarter, and Denver leading Kansas City by the score of 17-0. Here's Garcia Lane. And this is his first kickoff return of the season. Mike Harden on the stop. John Makovic not pleased with the kickoff return, so has shuffled it around. He has Jeff Smith and Garcia Lane back today. And the Kansas City Chief debut of Mike Pruitt, looking to add some zip to this offense, which has been invisible.
That's the reason for the score. The Chiefs have not done anything in 3 drives. And a punt blocked, and it's helped Denver lead 17-0.
First down from the 23. Here's Herman Hurd. Out to the 28-yard line. Picked up 5. Tom Jackson on the tackle. So Mike Pruitt, 10-year man out of Purdue, Bob.
Yeah, and here's his first play. He was playing for Buffalo last Sunday, and it kind of tells you a little bit about the tough situation that the Chiefs are in running back wise when you have to pick up somebody on Wednesday and he's in the ball game on Sunday.
2nd and 5 from the 28. Pruitt and Hurd, the running backs. And here is Hurd. Again, Pruitt with the block. Picked up a yard on the play. Harden on the tackle. We're set for an update. I wouldn't miss it, but Gracie said just another ball game. He's heading back to Miami. I can't understand that. It's a 3rd down and 4. And Kenny out of the shotgun. It is short of the first down. The reception by Pruitt. Harden was right there. And a busy man, Jim Arnold, will check back in.
You see Pruitt coming out of the backfield, a good receiver. The only problem is he doesn't go deep enough to get the first down, and Harden is right there to stop him. No more yardage after the catch. Good defense and poor play by Mike Pruitt.
And Arnold back at his 17, kicking to Vance Johnson. Mr. Excitement, a rookie from Arizona. And get the field. Flag down as Randy Robbins in on it once again. Randy Robbins, who blocked one earlier and then recovered, has taken advantage of the breakdown.
Same side, Jonathan Hayes again. Hayes is right here, and Robbins is going to come from the outside and make the block. Now watch these 2 players right here, and you'll see one of them go in and one of them go out. Right there, Hayes steps out. And that's King, Bruce King, 46. They certainly haven't got 2 rookies on the same side, have not gotten their signals together yet today on the punt team.
So Elway first down at the 24-yard line. This is Saul. Albert Lewis on the stop. The rookie from Oklahoma, Steve Sewell, with his 2nd carry of the day, this time for 7. Earlier he had one for 8. And it sets up a 2nd down and 3 at the 17. It has been all Denver. 3 minutes gone by, 2nd quarter. They lead it 17-0 and threatening again. Gerald Wilhite. Close to the first down marker, the right inside linebacker, Gary Speedy, making the tackle.
You know, Marv, normally talking about the 2 block punts, normally when you have 1 block punt, the special teams coach will get the entire kicking team together and come over and find out exactly what has happened, where the miscommunication was. It doesn't seem to me as though they corrected it because the second one was blocked in the same way in the same area, and that's just some communication problems for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Just short of the first down. Randy Robbins, who spent the first 6 weeks of the season on injured reserve with a broken arm, has had an exceptional first half. 2 block punts and 1 recovered block punt.
He is a very valuable addition to that defensive backfield. He just couldn't wait to get back.
Broncos just marching up and down the field. Now a 3rd down, less than a yard. And Elway picks up the first down. John Elway has run for 148 yards coming into today. averaging 5.5 yards per carry. He leads AFC quarterbacks in that department.
He says he really doesn't like to run, but he will if that's what the defense is going to give him. And I think at his early age, he'll probably continue doing that. And once he gets a little bit older, like Bill Kenny and Steve Grogan, some of the ones that used to scramble and don't anymore, will stay in the pocket.
First down at the 11. Sampson left, Watson right. It's Wilhite inside the 10. Gerald Wilhite, who coming into today carried the ball only 7 times for 23 yards, and he's been bothered by a knee problem. Seeing much action along with Gene Lang and the rookie Steve Sewell, with Sammy Winder sideline, hit with the flu. And the way this is going, I think Sammy is going to sit out.
You know, the other thing, that having problems on your special teams, especially 2 block punts, it takes away the momentum from your offense and defense, and they start wondering, hey, what's going on here?
And here is Wilhite battling his way inside the 5. Ron Cherry on the stop. And remember, Kansas City comes off a very strong defensive game against the Rams. They lost 16-0, but they were able to keep Eric Dickerson in check. Did the job. Denver running at will here in the first half.
Kansas City's offense has not done a thing. Denver's offense has dominated. Of course, they've gotten 2 block punts, and they've gotten very good field position. Kansas City's defense really hasn't had a chance.
Third down, 2 from the 3. Wilhite following Lang, and he's in. And you can hear the cheer from a portion of the crowd. Bob mentioned earlier a contingent from Denver making the trip to Kansas City. So the Broncos certainly have their support, and they now lead the Chiefs by the score of 23-0.
If this continues, we may see Sewell running the ball. Just a simple toss with Lang leading, stretching it wide, and then just looking for a seam just to bust up in there. You only need a yard. Tough running by Gerald Wilhite.
And here's Rich Carlos. So the Denver Broncos, with 9.5 remaining in the first half, now lead the Kansas City Chiefs by the score of 24-0. Denver, this time a short one by Carlos. And Lane on the return. Out to the 23, Ken Woodard leading the coverage. And again, Kansas City, with what has been an invisible offense, goes back to the attack. Jets in Seattle, no score, second quarter. Now Detroit over Miami, 10-7. Marino connecting with Joe Rose on a 14-yard pass play. Chicago leads Minnesota 10-7 in the second. As we swing around the NFL scoreboard, Washington in front of Cleveland 14-0. St. Louis 10, Houston 0 in the second. First down from the 25 for the Kansas City Chiefs. Sideline for Carlos Carson, and he's close to the first down marker, and a sarcastic roar from the crowd off that completion to the wide receiver Carson. There's Atlanta leading Dallas 10-0 in the second.
That's their first down, and where do you go when you're down 24-0 as we look at some scores? But the only thing you can do is make first downs and score 7 at a time, and not fall apart on the sideline. This is when you have to have the guys come up and say, let's keep together and let's continue to stay in this ballgame.
Well, they spotted it at the 33, so it's a second and about 2. And this is Mike Pruitt, stopped by Greg Cragen. And now, let's see, did they pick up the first down? Yes, they did. There it is.
An even louder cheer. That first cheer was just for the 8 yards. Rushing yards per game, Kansas City 27th out of 28 in the National Football League.
And going the other way with what has taken place here in the first half. This Chiefs' second first down. The strong safety, Dennis Smith, on the tackle.
Maybe one of the reasons that Kansas City hasn't been able to run is because they haven't been able to block. Watch 43 Pruitt here, who was just picked up. Goes out, throws himself. Now he's going to get up and hustle a little bit and try to get downfield. Makes a good block on Lilly. Maybe that's the type of stuff that Kansas City needs. Some experience at running back and some spirit. Get after it.
First down at the 47-yard line. And here's Hurd again. He was slowed up by Harden. Mike Harden got a hand on him. Herman Hurd, a second-year man out of Southern Colorado, so he'd like to do well for the folks watching back in that area.
Second quarter score, Chicago 10, Minnesota 7.
Detroit now leading the Dolphins 17-7. Second down and 9 at the 48. Last week, Chiefs had nothing going on the ground. In fact, Hurd, the leading rusher, 33 yards, 10 carries. That's the way it's been going. Here's play action, and Kenny gets it away and completes for Carlos Carson. Lewis White on the coverage. A 16-yard pass play.
One of the reasons Dennis Smith, the strong safety, was blitzing along with Dennison, 55, and Ryan, 50. A lot of pressure, but it took too long to get there, and Kenny, with man-on-man coverage on Louis Wright, makes the completion. But Denver, seeing the Kansas City Chiefs making a couple of first downs and not going to sit back, they're sending the safety on a blitz.
Bill Kenny 4 for 10, only 32 yards, has a first down at the Denver 36. Here's Hurd going off right guard, stopped by Dennison. Let's get back to Bob Costas and NFL 80. All right, Bob, back here at Arrowhead in Kansas City. Chiefs second down and 4 at the Denver 30. Broncos leading at 24-0 with 6.5 left in this first half. Kenny with the deep thrust. And has Henry Marshall. Mike Harden on the tackle, a 21-yard pass play. And suddenly good things happening for the Chiefs.
The strength of the Kansas City Chiefs is in their wide receivers, as we see Marshall working on Harden. See, Harden thinks he's going deep. A little play action allows a little bit of protection time, and he gets the ball over there. But Kansas City, it seems, as we look at it from the end zone, as you see good protection, seems to need a little adversity before they can get their offense cranked up.
First down for the Chiefs at the Denver 11. Carson to the left. That's Page in motion. And here's Hurd. Getting inside the 10. Greg Cragen, backup nose tackle on the stop.
This is a tough area to score for the Kansas City Chiefs. They don't have much of a running game, as we've been talking. They've only scored 4 rushing touchdowns out of 15 that the team has scored, and Denver doesn't give up many rushing touchdowns, having only given up 3 on the ground all year. So you kind of figure that Kansas City has to go to the air to get the ball in the end zone.
Second and 8 at the 9. Kenny with time goes end zone. Intended for Marshall.
He did the best thing he can do there, and that is throw it over the end zone and into the stands, because a lot of Broncos in the secondary, and it's very dangerous when you delay and throw the ball into the end zone because you're going to have a lot of opponents sitting around the receivers, and that was the case there.
This is the first sustained drive, the only drive of significance for the Chiefs. Kenny has completed 4 of his last 5. He sat out last week against the Rams with a bruised knee and assorted bumps and bruises. Now facing a 3rd down and 8 out of the shotgun. In goes end zone. And down at the 1, it's the tight end, Walt Arnold, stopped by Carl Mecklenburg, but Kenny is hurt. Bill Kenny is hurt.
Here you see Arnold lining up in the slot. Robbins, 48, has help to the inside. That's why he's playing to the outside. Now the catch was just about on the 1-yard line as Bill Kenny was really hit just as he released that ball.
Rulon Jones getting to the quarterback. Kenny tried to get up and then staggered back down.
John Makovic on the sideline, realizing that he's going to have to go with backup Todd Blackledge, at least for one, as you see Rulon Jones right here hitting Kenny just as he throws the ball, and our 68 maybe getting there a little bit too late, or helping out at least John Alt. But Kenny really stuffed as he threw the football, and he was stepping right into the way the lineman was coming.
So in front of the Kansas City bench, quick warm-up drill for the 3-year man from Penn State, Todd Blackledge, who had a horrendous day against the Rams. His first start this year last week, 14 for 32, 161 yards, intercepted 6 times.
Kenny seems to be all right. The first thing you worry about is a concussion or a broken jaw or something. It seems as though he was just stunned a little bit. And talking with Blackledge yesterday, he said the problem with throwing 6 interceptions and then going back to the bench, as we hear him, he booed as he's coming onto the field. He says you don't get to go right back out there the following week and redeem yourself. Well, this is an excellent opportunity for him to come in and get the Chiefs their first score.
Elway, of course, went through that process in his rookie season in his second year where he was having problems. At least he knew he'd be playing, usually be playing the next week. But here's Blackledge coming out, first and goal from the 1. And this after Kenny had been going well. Todd Blackledge on the handoff. Touchdown. Ethan Horton, the rookie from North Carolina, with the score.
Here, as you see Horton going over the top at the very end. I think this ball comes out. If he is in by the time it comes out, so yeah, he lays the ball into the end zone and then drops it. So Kenny on the sideline, he's ready to go back in. He says, yeah, I can hold, I'm going.
So Kenny will put it down for Nick Lowry, who has hit on 61 straight extra points. He's missed only 1 the past 3 years. And Kansas City finally has something to show in this first half with 4:18 left. The Broncos lead the Chiefs 24-7. Nick Lowry in a 6th season out of Dartmouth, getting set to kick off for the first time today. Gene Lang, Vance Johnson are back. And a good kick. This is Johnson for the 5. 15. Tackle inside the 20-yard line by Ken Jolly. Well, Bill, look out, some extracurricular activity on the field off that return. Quarterback Bill Kenny being attended to. He took a pop from Rulon Jones.
They're examining his jaw and his teeth, and he saw him pop him right in the chin there to see if it hurt, and obviously it did. I suspect they are looking to see if he has a fractured jaw of any kind. May take him in for an x-ray.
Check to the scoreboard. Seattle on a Dave Craig 45-yard touchdown pass in front of the Jets. Detroit now over Miami 17-14. St. Louis leading Houston 10-3. First down from the 19. Sampson in motion. Here's Wilhite. Making the turn, getting across the 25. Gerald Wilhite stopped by the right corner. Kevin Ross.
This is the worst field position as we look at some more scores. The worst field position.
And Wilhite is hurt. Gerald Wilhite, who was hit by the aggressive corner Kevin Ross, is hurt.
Let's take another look at 47 Wilhite and Ross. Ross, really a tough hitter. Well, whatever it was immediate. I don't know if he got kicked by a knee in the side or what, but you're always glad to see it's not his knee or leg area. But worst field position today for the starting position for the Denver Broncos.
And Dan Reeves without Sammy Winder, although the word is he could play if they need him, but at this point does not look that way with a 24-7 lead. Winder suffering with the flu, and Will Height being attended to on the sideline.
Hawaii just to cover golf, maybe playing some pro-ams. Tough duty.
These are the difficult things that director Andy Rosenberg and producer Larry Cirillo have to bear with during the course of their chores here at NBC. Will Height is still down at the Denver bench.
Dan Reeves obviously pleased with his offense. 4 possessions, 3 touchdowns, and a field goal. Playing a lot better than they have in the last 2 weeks.
I mentioned earlier that Kansas City coach John Mackovic upset with his team's play several weeks ago when they were beaten by San Diego. So he set down some new rules that the Chiefs would no longer cater lunches to the players. The team must eat dinner as a group on the road, and room service meals off limits. Visitors to hotels on the road must sign in with hotel security. And curfew was also moved up the night before games. He did relax that slightly, but these very similar to the stipulations set down for us night before games. So I can
this all came about.
The chief player complaints.
This all came about after the San Diego game, where Mackovic thought they really didn't play that well. They weren't into the ball game, and he was really upset, and he came back and really jumped on his team. But last week they got beat at home against the Rams, and he says I haven't done what I need to do. He says I really have not don't believe that I've done a good job myself. So he's taken some of the responsibility, but of course Bill Kenny came in and said it's not your fault, it's the players' fault, and the players are the ones that have to go out there and make the plays. So there's been a little bit of tension the last few weeks around the Kansas City team. Last year they had some adversity, came back and won their last 3 football games, and I think the air is cleared. I think the events the last few weeks have cleared it, and I think now being down to Denver 24-7, we'll see if they can come back from this adversity.
Well, Kenny said it was lack of dedication. He said certain guys were not studying hard enough. Do you buy that, or is it lack of talent?
Well, I think you can always say there aren't some guys on a team that aren't studying hard enough, because some guys don't do it that way. Some guys have to study more. They feel better when they're prepared, when they take films home, and other ones don't. But there are always some players on some teams that you can say that about.
What is your feeling about the tactics of Mackovic?
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't do it that way. I know Don Shula never did it that way. I think it's a little bit childish to take somebody's lunch away. He told us yesterday he reinstated them, but I think really wanted to do was get their attention. And he said a lot of the players came to him this week and said, hey, we needed it. We needed some discipline, and now you've got our attention. Hopefully they're all together, and they're going to go on about it.
There's Will Height being taken back to the Denver locker room via stretcher. Will Height off to a terrific start. 13 carries, 55 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Take another look and see if we can see where he is injured, as Ross, I don't know, I would say it's up around his shoulder or neck area.
Here's a 2nd and 3 for Elway, throwing the bomb for the first time. Intended for Sampson. Kevin Ross. In Kansas City, Marv Albert with Bob Greasy. Denver leading Kansas City by the score of 24-7. Here's Gene Lang. Very short pickup. Lloyd Burris right there. Picked up a yard. It'll be a 2nd and 9. 1:45 left in this first half. And Elway, in the hurry-up, comes out of the shotgun. And Lang is walloped off that reception. Mark Robinson, the extra defensive back in his 2nd season out of Penn State, with a hard hit on Lang. A timeout called. We'll be back in a moment. 3rd down and 5 for Elway. And hits the screen with Lang for a first down. Beautifully executed. Sherman Cocroft, an extra defensive back for the Chiefs, running Lang out of bounds.
Elway just it was going to be a shovel pass, it looked like, and then he decided that the Kansas City had read it and Lang gets upfield, and plenty of time on the clock for the Broncos to go in and score. There's nothing you have to rush about. Plenty of timeouts left.
Lang has caught 4 for 28 yards, 11-yard pickup on that last play. You can see a minute 23 remaining first half. Again, the quick release by Elway and a flag down. One of the few flags we've seen in this first half.
Kansas City, the second least penalized team in the league.
And here's Jerry Markbright.
Offside, number 30, defense, first down.
And it's Mark Robinson called on the offside.
Must have lined up too close to one of the receivers. He always plays over one of the slot receivers in the nickel situation. The lineup a little too close. But again, rookie mistakes helping out Bronco offense that really doesn't need any help.
1st and 5 out of 26. 10th play of this series. And let's see, Sampson going for it. The KC defender Greg Hill came up with it, but it is called incomplete. Intended for Clint Sampson, 3-year man from San Diego State. Little Houdini attempt by Greg Hill.
Well, it doesn't hurt to try every now and then. The referee or the official may have been screened out on the play, but if you don't come up looking like you intercepted it, he won't give it to you.
Elway 8 for 13 to this point, 70 yards. Has not had particularly good numbers in his previous 3 games against Kansas City, but today's been doing it on the ground. And right here it's Steve Sewell out of the 20-yard line, right at the marker. Mark Robinson on the stop. Sewell picking up the first down. Folks in Denver wondering about the rookie from Oklahoma, first-round draft pick who was not seeing much action, but getting some daylight today.
Well, it really wasn't a great year for running backs. The Kansas City Chiefs took Ethan Horton in the first round. Broncos took Sewell in the first round, and neither one of them have really lived up to expectations as far as running the football. They're both doing better catching it out of the backfield.
Many considered Ethan Horton of North Carolina the best running back in the draft, but at this juncture it has not turned out that way. He has been a disappointment.
Well, and like we said, it really wasn't a great year, but those were the top backs of the running backs, and of all 5 or 6, it seems as though Hampton in Miami has been the one that has been the most productive running the football.
Timeout with a minute 8 remaining first half. Denver, incidentally, has scored on every possession today for the 24-7 lead. 2 touchdowns for Gerald Wilhite, 1 for Gene Lang. Carlos with a 24-yard field goal, and Horton taking it in from 1 yard away.
Ethan Horton is kind of tall for running back, 6'3.5", and his problem is he runs a little bit too much upright and not enough with a lean.
First down at the 20. Watson is to the right. Elway looking that way. With time, now being chased, and gets it away and is able to complete to the tight end Mike Bobber, who has made his first catch as a Denver Bronco. Lewis and Cocroft on the stop. Mike Bobber, acquired from the Rams 2 weeks ago. So second down and 3. We're down to 35 seconds remaining. And Denver threatening, has the open man. A flag has been thrown. He has the tight end James Wright. And let's see where they spot it as the clock has been stopped.
We have an illegal formation foul.
Illegal formation.
Means Wright or one of the wide receivers were lined up off the, not lined
Illegal
up on the line of
formation,
scrimmage.
offense. There was no eligible man on the end of the line.
An ineligible man on the end of the line. That means that the tackle on that side, which was probably stuttered, I don't think we can see it from here, but one of the men on the other side of the line, this is a tight end right here, would be on the other side over here. Stuttered, was not covered up by a wide receiver. So it will be a second down and
east. Off the 17 in Kansas City territory. Quick release again by Elway, and a nice move by Vance Johnson. Johnson making the turn to pick up the first down.
Johnson was in the backfield at the time, and they're hurrying to get their short yardage offense and defense for their field goal teams on the field. No timeouts left.
See the time running down. A 23-yard attempt. And Rich Collis puts it through. So Collis with his second field goal of the day. And the gun sounds in what has been a horrendous first half for the Kansas City Chiefs. They are now trailing the Denver Broncos 27-7.
Denver has scored on every possession today, 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals, and going into halftime, Dan Reeves has got to be pretty happy with getting that last field goal with no timeout. This is something that you like to work on during the week. Hurry up with your field goal team, and he was obviously successful with it.
To make matters worse for Kansas City,